my name's Leigh. I'm Head of Customer Success at ScoreApp, and we're going to jump into this webinar and get started. So, first of all, before we even head to the platform, the very first thing when you're developing your scorecard is to decide on your concept for your scorecard. So your concept, we recommend, is aligned with a common desire from your target audience. And therefore, it's of mutual value. So your target audience will get something from it, and then you will also get the lead details in return. So basing it on the common desire, we have some recommendations. So I'm just going to share my screen. I've just got a couple of slides where we can help you to develop a concept for your scorecard. So it's basing it on that common desire and goal, and we have some examples. So, for example, many of you here may have already come across Daniel Priestley from Dent. They've had great success with their scorecard. Their scorecard is called the Key Person of Influence scorecard, and the desire there is obviously to be a key person of influence. You have other ideas such as Beach Ready scorecard, Good Parenting scorecard. These are all desires that are, when people take the scorecard, they get that indication of where they are against that goal, and what else they need to do to improve that score and fully reach that goal. And you're able to also give them some great insight and tips and tailored recommendations based on where they are at the moment to help them to get to that ultimate goal. You could also base it on a pain or frustration. So you know your target audience really, really well. You know what problems they have, you know what they're trying to avoid. And here are some, examples such as the weight gain prevention scorecard. So anyone wanting to, get fit and healthy, that headline is really going to resonate with them. Avoid burnout scorecard. That's another good example where that person is going to resonate with that headline, and that's going to hook them in to think, yeah, actually I'm going to see how close I am and what I can do to prevent that for myself. So that's two different ways. So basing it on the desire or goal, basing it around a common pain or frustration. And then you've got another one that could be really useful to think about. So are you ready to? And this can form the headline for the scorecard. So the examples are you ready to run a marathon? Take the scorecard. So all of your questions are going to give them a great indication as to how far they are or how close they are to running that marathon and what else they should do to get ready for it. You then have sort of a topical or seasonal. So each of our scorecard packages includes more than one scorecard. So you may have, one as your cold lead scorecard. You might have one that you're using for an assessment for onboarding, and it may be that something topical or seasonal pops up along the way. So if you're a fitness instructor, it may be that January you do something specific for that particular campaign, or there's just something newsworthy or trending that you can produce a scorecard for. And then finally, before we jump into the platform, ScoreApp also offers the ability to create a higher scoring category or personality style quiz. So we've all come across them before, but these can be similar. When you've answered mostly A's, you are this personality style, or when you've answered mostly B's. And this one's set up a little bit differently on the platform, but it can be a really sort of fun, interactive quiz that you could create. So, for example, we have one on as a template called Discover Your Budgeting Personality Styles. So you're either going to be a conscious budgeter, a relaxed budgeter. So you answer the questions, you discover your style, and then you'll receive some tailored advice that suits your personality style. So they're all the different concepts. Has anybody, and please feel free to sort of unmute, anyone need any help with their concept or want to sort of talk about?
Hi there.
Hi, how are you?
I'm awesome, thank you. Hope you are too. I'm a mindset coach, life coach. I'm not really hung up on titles, but I've not seen many examples of that either in the book or from here. So would you have any people who have done that or have used different ideas for that?
So when you say you're a mindset coach, what do you help your clients to do? What is that sort of common thing that you help your customers to achieve?
Probably overcoming limiting beliefs and mindset blocks that are holding them back. Okay.
Yep. So we definitely have existing scorecards that are based on a similar theme. So, for example, going through the processes that we've just run through, are you ready to overcome your limiting beliefs? Take the quiz and find out. So your mindset, I'm just trying to brainstorm some other ideas there. So you could go down the avoiding the pain or frustration. So if we go back to that particular method, avoid, being held back by a limiting mindset.
Yeah.
If we go and use this one, the desire or the goal is to have an open mindset?
A growth mindset, maybe.
A growth mindset.
But that's a bit vague, and they may not know what a growth mindset is. So something about maybe shifting the way they view life and making it more positive, but I don't want it to be too wordy.
Yeah, so it could be like, I know it could be something along the lines of the growth mindset scorecard. I know you said, but then your subheading could be, for all the go-getters who want to, smash their goals in life.
Yeah, because I work with a lot of sports people as well as business people.
Okay.
So, yeah, it could be something along achieving something.
Yeah, achieving. So a desire, a goal.
Yeah.
So achieving your full potential. Are you ready to achieve your full potential? Take the scorecard.
Yeah.
And find out, or take the quiz. Yeah, that's
overcoming the blocks that are stopping you from achieving your.
Yeah.
Yeah. To find out.
Yeah. We've got some good ideas there. We're going to get there eventually, aren't we?
Yeah, and play around with that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else would like any help with their sort of concept before we move on? No. Okie dokie. So once you have your concept, the next element that we're going to talk about is the landing page. So I'm just going to jump to the platform now. Now I'm running through with you a template example. So when you come to create your scorecard, if you haven't got to that stage just yet, you're going to be asked whether you want to select a template or whether you want to start from scratch. If there's a template there that is closely aligned with your concept, then go for it. You can choose that one, and everything I show you will help you to amend that and customize that particular template so it suits you. If there's nothing there, then select, start without a template, and then we will go through that process as well. So once you've chosen which way you're going to go, you will be able to come to the builder, which is the icon of the pencil and ruler. You've then got this list here. So this is all of the items that we're going to work through. For this, we're going to start with the landing page. So the landing page is super important because once you've driven your traffic to the scorecard, that landing page has to hook your target audience in. It has to resonate with them so that they go on to take action and click on, I want to start this scorecard. So what's going to be really helpful is that, that concept absolutely speaks to your target audience and they go, oh, yeah, this is exactly what I need. I'm going to take this quiz and I'm going to see how I score. So there are a number of elements that I'm going to suggest that we put on that landing page to make it a high converting landing page. To begin with, I'm just going to run through sort of some technical ways of setting up your scorecard. So you will find that you have a default landing page in your list. So whether you've chosen the template or you're starting from scratch, there will be a default version which you can click on to edit. You will also find in the right-hand corner a create landing page button as well. So if you click on that, there are a number of templates here which just give you a structure of suggesting different sections that you think, oh, actually, that one looks really nice. I'm going to, start with that. Equally, you can start without a template because all of those different sections will be available for you to add. And you can have as many landing pages in your list here as you like. It's only going to be the one that's published and made your homepage that will be featured with your scorecard. And you're going to be able to preview this by clicking on the square box with the arrow pointing out. That's also going to be where you can find your URL for the scorecard. So your URL, you're able to tailor the initial section of the URL. If you go to settings, you can customize it here. If you're on the advanced package upwards, you've also got the option to have a custom domain name, which you can set up by going to your account and domains. Anybody's got any questions on that, please just let me know. So let's go back to landing pages. So whether you're using the default one or you've selected another one, once you've opened up the landing page editor, you're going to see something very similar to this. Now you can see what it looks like on mobile by switching the view up here, and then you've got the desktop option as well. And what is really useful to look at is this add a section button. So if you click on add a section, you're going to be able to view all the different banner styles. You've got options where you've got the sign up form on the banner as well. And then there's lots of different sections. So your call to action section, a lot of these are more useful when you get to the results page. But certainly, let's discover your strengths and weaknesses. This is going to be the call to action that you're going to use on the landing page. You could also include a testimonial section as well, and I'll talk about best practice for those. You might want to introduce the categories that you're going to measure people against. We do have the ability to add videos as well. And then you've got lots of general sort of content sections where you can talk about how the scorecard is going to help them, who's this scorecard for, why I've created this scorecard, so that there's lots of different useful section types there. Once you've added your section types, you're going to be able to hover over the name and you'll see some dots, and you can click on those and drag and drop it into different positions. So you can get the structure as you'd like it to be. Once you've got that structure, you can start to customize it with your branding, your content, and your colors and logos. So for example, if I click on this top section here, I'd be able to select my logo from my files. And then if I click on the styling, I can choose whether to have that on the left aligned, right aligned, center, to have it at the top or include it in the first section. And I can also play around with the size of the logo and how much space I want, top and bottom. So there's lots of options. You can see then if I click on the main banner, I can update my content, and I can choose a different image, as well as being able to upload it from your files. You can search free images. And if you click on the funnel, you can also, if you want to search for icons, change it to the icon filter as well. So you can also hide particular sections. So if you've developed a section and you think, actually, I'm not sure about that, I'd like to see what it looks like without it, then just click on that eye. And if you'd like to clone a particular section, you can do that as well. So that is sort of the technical side of setting up a landing page. So I just want to talk through some best practice now, and then we can pick up some examples as well. So let's just jump back into these slides. I've just got a few bullet points that talk about what we'd like to see on a landing page. So the first is clear, credible, and interesting copy. So we have, a headline, we've got information about what the benefit of taking the scorecard is. We're going to have, information such as how it works. So you're going to answer 12 questions. It's going to take you this long. Then you will get a score. You will get your results. You will get some customized feedback. You want to state the time investment. So we'll talk about questions and how long we recommend. But in terms of putting the statement there, it will be along the lines of answer 12 questions in less than 2 minutes. Be clear on what they will get from taking the scorecard, and that's the sort of ultimate prize. That's how it's going to help them. So if it was, for example, a financial health scorecard, well, it's going to help you manage your money better. It's going to help you prepare for your retirement. It's going to reduce stress. So you'd focus on how it's going to help them. Just make sure that your branding's all kept fluid throughout all the items. So that's the landing page, the questions, the results page. It's nice to put some information about who's created the scorecard, so that when they get to that landing page, they're like, oh, this sounds great. Who's created it, who's developed it. And that's where you can put a little bit of information about yourself or your company. We recommend that it's always linked to why you've created this tool for them, and link it to the experience that you have. You could then include testimonials, and again, we would recommend that you link it to the scorecard. So people that have taken your scorecard, that it's really helped. So it's given them some clarity about where they are and what they should do next. If you have any bonuses you can offer, so we have lots of our scorecard customers have, written a book, or they might want to promote tickets to an event, or put people into a special community. These can all be, extra incentives for taking the scorecard. So just make sure that you communicate that on the landing page. The landing page is a place where you should focus on all the value in taking the scorecard. So I wouldn't recommend being sales orientated on the landing page, because it's all about, what's in it for them, how's it going to help them. And then when we get to the results section of the scorecard, that's when we can really start showcasing, our services, our products, our knowledge, and our experience, so that we can help them to solve their issues. So has anybody, would anybody be happy for me to sort of bring up their landing page now, so we can take a look at it, see if we can make any suggestions? It may be that you've started, or you've launched, or
I've got a live one if you want. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, Chrissy.
So I can go through both of them. So if I just go for one first. Sorry,
I won't take it personally. I can go on. Take my screen off.
Excellent. I'm sorry, I can't see who I'm speaking to. What's your name?
Keith Wright. So K Wright Consultancy is my one.
Hi, Keith.
It's a profit booster scorecard.
Okay, so Keith. Right. Like that?
With a W.
Keith. Right. Aha, the profit booster scorecard. So what can you just tell me a little bit about you and your company?
Yeah, so I'm a consultant in the building industry. So amongst other things, I specialise in procurement strategy and category management. So I played around with this as my first scorecard.
Okay.
Really just designed to give some simple questions as obviously a free tool to see, well, just to give businesses an opportunity to take it. It takes about 2 minutes, and just to give them a bit of an overview as to how their procurement is shaping up. That's the kind of theory behind it.
Okay. When you so take your procurement strategy to the next level, so answer 9 questions and we'll send you. So what is, when you help somebody, what are the common problems that they're facing that they need help with?
So often they've got a lack of control in their procurement. So they might have no contracts in place, they might not have any availability targets with their supply base, they might not have good relationships with it. So it's all about underpinning the front end of the business. So if you're selling anything, you need to be able to buy, generally you need to be able to buy stuff in order to sell stuff. So in my world, if you're letting customers down or don't have control of your supply chain, then you can get yourself into a whole world of pain.
Okay.
So this is kind of designed to really tease out some of the areas that they might not be focused on or might not even be aware of.
Okay. And what's that kind of ultimate prize of having this, great procurement strategy?
Well, it should underpin their sales. So it should mean more customer retention. It should mean better sales, should mean less headaches, better control of their supply chain, better price consistency, just a much easier business to operate and sell to their customer base.
Okay. I'm just wondering if that headline is going to be strong enough as a hook.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to get some ideas for maybe some alternative headlines. How it works, improve the purchasing strategy for your business. So I'm just thinking, are you ready to make purchasing efficiencies in your business? Take the quiz.
Yeah.
So that could be a potential idea. So you said it's for one particular industry, is that right?
Well, it's, to be honest, you could use it in any business that's selling product, because most of those businesses will have to buy those products from somewhere. Because of my area of expertise is building, I've targeted it at the building industry, but it doesn't mean to say it has to be there. But that's kind of my niche, if you like. Okay.
So it could be, something along those lines. Are you ready to take control of your purchasing? Are you ready? So it could be that we go down that one. The other one would be the procurement strategy success scorecard, and you call it the name.
Mm-hmm.
Discover how successful your procurement strategy is. That could be another one. Or discover your procurement strategy score and find out if you could be, become more efficient and gain more customers, have better control. So then you start to list all those benefits that we spoke about.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I would definitely try and do something up here. It's got a hook of a headline. We're talking about the prizes and we're making it sort of clear, what it is, how it's going to help them. So leading building industry brands we've been working with. So this is nice because this comes back to the credibility that we talked about. So you could put more context around that. We've been working with leading industry brands for 20 plus years. We
haven't, but
yeah, don't
I'm
make
only
it
18
up.
months old, so
okay, well, don't put maybe you could just put that, could link it to why you've created this scorecard. We've got this great methodology that we've created this tool for you to be able to assess how efficient. So you just link it to why you've created the scorecard.
Yeah. Okay.
How it works, answer 9 questions, see how you can improve the purchasing strategy from supply management to setting targets with higher areas that will help you take your purchasing strategy to the next level. So this could just be how it works, answer 9 questions in less than, discover your score, and which have you put, and then receive your report, which will highlight areas that will allow you to take your purchasing strategy to the next level. You'll be scored against the following key areas. Sometimes it's nicer way to say it. You'll be measured based on the following key areas. Working with slides.
Not judged.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you've got this the About Us section here as well. With over 30 years. Solutions can help you profitability. Our solutions include more information. So this, I would say, is good to have, but it's maybe sales orientated versus value orientated.
Okay.
So this is actually the section where you include, you know, who you are, but why you've created this scorecard. And then when it comes to the results page, you can start to talk about your solutions.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And again, these are the testimonials that are based on your business that are great to have on your results page. Because you know, you want somebody to arrive at your landing page and go, oh, this sounds like really useful. What they may do if they get to this is like, oh, I think it's a lead generation exercise.
Just out of interest, because I don't want this all to be about my page. These were the templates, so I followed the template and added stuff in as was suggested.
Yes.
So is that suggesting the templates not as appropriate as it could be?
No, I think you're right. There are templates that we have that have testimonials based on the business rather than the scorecard. In what I've seen that's worked better, it's better to connect it to the value in taking the scorecard. So maybe just use the template as a placement to include the testimonials, but just tailor them so that they're based on the scorecard rather than the end result.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, thank you for flagging that. It's something that I will talk to the team about. And then you've got your final sign off as well, which is great. So it's looking really good. I think it's just taking it. I always advise like just taking a step back and looking at it from your target audience point of view and just making sure it's clear enough as to what it is, and how it's going to help them.
No, that's really helpful.
Thank you so much for sharing it with me.
As Daniel would say, sharpening the market, not on your mind. That's what he said on the course last week.
Oh, God, and you remember, that's amazing. He'll love that.
Get some content out there and adapt it. But that's really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There was another lady that was happy to share. Can we?
It's me. I'm quite happy. Mine's very much in a work in progress, but you're welcome to have a look at it if you want to.
Yeah. Okay. Can I just grab your name?
It's Chrissy, CHRISSIE. Maze. Oh, we got it there.
That's it.
I'm the only Chrissy.
The equine. Yes, the only Chrissy. I think I'd be the same. My name's Leigh, which is a bit.
And it's spelled different. Yeah, as well.
So discover your equine. Is that how you say it? Equine.
Yeah.
Business brand impact score. A positive brand reputation can catapult a business from underdog to market leader. Okay, so tell me a little bit about what it is that you do and you help people.
We help people become more recognised and with a better reputation in the equine industry.
Okay. The best place to start the journey is the equine business reputation scorecard. So the kind of businesses that you're working with, they're working on their brand as a riding school.
Yeah. So we kind of do like a membership scheme where it's a little bit like they do in the hospitality, where you give them like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 score, give gold, silver, bronze, and so we're raising their reputation through a sort of detailed assessment process.
Okay.
Because obviously we look at is how well known their brand is.
Okay.
How recognised they are. Because basically they're people who are like drowning in competition, and they want to sort of become better known than the rest of their competition, because it's quite a crowded marketplace, believe it or believe it not. And so we're trying to sort of find the wheat from the chaff, if you like.
Okay.
And it was playing around with that actually before you came on, so I've still got quite a lot of work to do.
Okay, that's good. And do you in this scorecard, will you give them that bronze, silver, gold sort of score at the end?
Well, of course, I've just used for quickness for now until I get used to it. I've just used a template, so it was all set up. So I've just tweaked the questions, but actually they were quite good.
Yeah.
So I didn't need to tweak them that much, and it is kind of all set up. So I think there were 3 levels that the template gives anyway, isn't there? So
Yeah.
So I do need to add to that so that it does reflect what's on the website, I think.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a nice connection, because we do use that traffic light system. It like defaults to that, you know, red is, you know, warning, you've got your green for you've scored really well. But you could use your bronze, silver, gold, and you could talk about that in here as well, because I thought that was quite nice.
Yeah.
You know, discover if you're at, you know, bronze, silver, gold in terms of your brand impact. So that would be a nice link. So discover your equine business brand impact score. I think it's, as a heading, it's good because it highlights that they're going to get a score, which can hook people in. A positive brand reputation can come from underdog to market leader. So that's talking about the prize. I mean, you've mentioned other things like stand out from the competition. So you could further strengthen that with more of that content. And then you've got the best place to start that journey is by auditing where you are and identifying key areas of opportunity, which is nice content. Does just that. Answer 12.
Not mine. I think that's why I chose it, because it meets what I'm trying to do quite nicely. I thought, yeah, that's brilliant. I love that.
Yeah. So answer 12 questions under 2 minutes. So it's got the time investment. You know, in terms of using the language scorecard, so that's what we refer to a lot, is a scorecard. But equally, you know, the terms quiz, assessment,
it's on my website, so it might be better just to use that, mightn't it?
I think so. And I think, you know, the terminology you use should be sort of appropriate to your target audience. So if you feel that, you know, they're going to resonate more with quiz, then I would definitely use quiz.
This is the next bit I don't like at all. So that was just on the the template. So I'm just playing. I need to change that. I don't like the icons on there at all. So
yeah. Yeah, they've got to suit your style, haven't they? Yeah. So you could have a section, you know, this is talking about, you know, the ultimate benefit. This could almost, although you have got it here, you know, how is this going to help me? A kind of section. You know, it's going to raise your reputation, revamp your recognition. So you could use elements of it.
Yeah.
And why it matters. It's a collection of other people's opinions about the thing you do. So this is nice content as well, because, you know, it's talking more about giving you more of an incentive and reason to complete the scorecard. So I like that.
That was already on the template, so I just
yeah. So these are on the template, and these are ones that are linked to taking the scorecard. So the brand reputation scorecard was the catalyst our businesses needed to harness the power of brand management. We'd never go back. And then we've got the final call to action there as well. So what we don't have in this particular template is we don't have much information about yourself. So you could potentially add that. And you could potentially add some more. Have you thought about maybe possibly any incentives for taking the scorecard?
No, I haven't.
That's fine. I mean, it's something to consider, you know, maybe down the line.
I don't know what I'd offer them though at this stage.
Yeah, you know, it may be that you have a resource, or you develop one a bit later on, or, you know, you have an introductory webinar to a course, or, you know, if that something like that could further strengthen it as well.
I think there's probably something a bit later on when I've sort of developed something, but it's good to bear in mind, definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's a really good start. So Have you got any other questions that I can help with when it comes to your landing page?
No, I think that's it. Thanks. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing it. Thank you, guys. So we're going to move on now to the questions. So let's just jump back to the platform here. So if we head to the question area of the platform, we need to firstly decide if you're going to use any categories. So if you use categories, that allows you to not only deliver an overall score, but you're going to be able to deliver a score against each one of those categories, and then provide some dynamic feedback against each one as well. So if they've scored low, medium, or high, you could have your different versions of content, which will just be pulled in based on their score. The advantages of using categories is that it allows people to see where their strengths and weaknesses are. So on this particular example that I'm showing you, it's a performance wellbeing scorecard. So the categories are exercise, sleep, and stress. So as well as getting my overall score to know how well I'm doing, I could also go, oh, well, actually, I'm doing really well with exercise and sleep, but not so well, managing my stress. So it helps to bring that value out in taking the scorecard, so they know which area they need to focus on first. You don't have to have categories. If you're keeping it really simple, then you could just, keep your questions uncategorized and deliver that overall score. In terms of number of categories and number of questions, we would recommend sort of fewer for colder leads. So depending on who you're targeting. So if it's cold leads, 1 or 2 categories with around 8 to 15 questions. Warmer leads, 3 to 7 categories with 20 plus questions. And then if you've got clients, we have scorecards that are used for sort of onboarding, feedback, reviews. Then obviously the sky's the limit in terms of the number of questions. So once you've added your categories, you can then go and start to add your questions. So you can sit the right questions under the right categories. And there's a number of different question formats that you can use. So we've got yes, no, maybe, we've got versions of scales, we've got multiple choice, and we've got open text. So you can assign the points. So if it's like a yes, no, maybe question, for example, you could say, do you sleep more than 8 hours a night? If they say, yeah, they score a point. And if the negative answer wouldn't score any points. So it can be as straightforward as that. The exception would be the scale questions, because if you're adding a scale, it will assign the number of points in line with how big that scale is. So if it's a 0 to 10 scale, it's going to allocate 10 points, and wherever the user places themselves on the scale is how many points they've achieved. Multiple choice buttons, I'd recommend if you're using multiple choice and there's a nice short label option, they can click straight on that button and be taken to the next question. Multiple choice checkboxes is the right format to use if you want them to pick more than one answer. So, from the list, tick all that apply. And then you can set, if you look under more settings for this question, you're going to be able to set a minimum and maximum option count. The multiple choice radio buttons is another multiple choice option, but if you've got a longer label option, then they put the tick next to the answer and then click on next to go to the next question. So that is a 2-step process as opposed to the 1-step process of the multiple choice buttons. You've also then got an open text question, which isn't scored, but it allows you to get that more information, more data to help you. You can also sit, if there's questions that you want to ask that don't belong in a particular category, don't particularly want to show them how they scored against them, you can sit those in uncategorized and just make sure the score's 0 so that you're collecting the data, but it's not necessarily something that you want to present back to them. So that is really the sort of key information on questions. Scoring wise, it will add up the total amount of points possible per category. So if you had, for example, 5 points in exercise and the person scoring it or say you had 10, the person taking it scored 5 out of 10, it converts it to a percentage and it says, right, you've scored 50%, and it decides what score tier it falls into based on these ranges here. These are default, set to default when you first set up your scorecard, but you can change them. So you can change, they're always percentages. So even if you're presenting the score as an actual score, these tiers need to be set in percentage ranges, but yeah, you can change the colors, you can add tiers. It's quite nice, and it can work quite well for particular use cases to change the labels. So you might have, for example, high burnout risk, low burnout risk, needs improvement, needs focus. So you could use other language like that as well. Is there anyone that's got any needs any help with sort of questions, scoring, writing questions at all before we move on? So the next element.
Sorry, I think Steve had his hand up there.
Oh, Steve, how can I help? Thanks, Sarah. Steve, are you able to unmute, and or if not, just pop it in the chat.
One of my questions got in mind is about funding profiles of organisations. So one question got in mind is how much of your income comes from income generation as opposed to grants, where an answer might be a percentage. So could somebody type in a percent, then get the answer ranked between different ranges?
Okay, so say that again, sorry.
That so the question might be something like what percent of your funding comes from income generation, and say in the charity. So someone might type in, say, like 33% or 48%. Then could I get the analysis to say put their answer into a range, or do I have to give them the ranges?
So you'd have to give them the ranges as a multiple choice. Or you could use a sliding scale, which would be 0 to 100%, and they could choose that position on the sliding scale.
Then when it gets to scoring, then I set the kind of ranges for what the overall score is. So converting that to a score.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
I'm thinking you would have to decide, Steve, is that going to be the results output that you're trying to give them, do you mean, to work out what percentage of their income? Are you going to give them different options, or is that going to be the results output is what I'm trying to say, that you're scoring this and that you're giving them that feedback?
What's happening is attaching their answers to financial and organisational risk. So the higher in that question, say for example, how much of your funding you have to apply for every year. If it's a high score, it's a high risk.
Right. Yes, okay. You would put the weighting then, wouldn't you, Leigh? If I'm right, you'd put the weighting at the higher risk element. So when they fall into that high risk tier, because there's more points associated to the high risk question or answer, when they get to their results output, the score tier will display that they are a higher risk.
I know there was a target to get back to saying, thank you for taking our test. It looks like you actually identified yourselves as a high risk in this area. Do you want to fault?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can do that. So you could, if the points are associated, you would just change this round. So this would become red. So if they score more points, they're high risk, and then this one could become, green. So you could reverse flip it as well. Mm-hmm. And then I'll show you when it comes to the results page, how we can tailor the response that you give based on their score tier.
Have you got a demo of the sliding scale question?
We have got a demo of the sliding scale question. Sarah, are you able to send that to Steve? If you're able to just direct message your email address to Sarah, she can pop that to you. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so thank you, Steve. If we now go to the results page, so at this point, we've worked on landing page, we have inputted our questions, and then they're going to receive their results. And this is what we call the results page. You will have a default version in your list here. You can also go to, so it's a very similar process to the landing page. You can go to create results page, and you can see different structures. So if you were doing one of the like profile tests, you know, that this particular template may be a good place for you to start. But otherwise, we could just click on that default version that's in our list. So I would recommend the same as before. Go to add a section and look at the different ways of presenting the results to them. So you've got the percentage on its own. You've got donut charts. So if you're not using categories, you know, the percentage could suit you better. If you've got those categories and you want to show them, then the donut chart could suit you better. You've also got the spider diagram and the speedometer as well. And then in terms of displaying your category scores, you've got sort of 3 different designs there as well. So it depends how much content you're putting on your results page as to sort of which design that might be best suited for you there. So once you have the correct section types on your results page, you can click on that section type, and then you will notice this toggle here called dynamic content. If you slide that on, it will show you your score tiers. You might have labeled them differently, you might have different colors, but that will enable you to click on each of the dynamic layers and then enter the content for each one. So what we'd recommend is that you tailor the advice based on how they scored. So you acknowledge how they scored. So you might use language such as, you know, don't worry if your score isn't where you'd like it to be. You know, this is why we're here to help. You know, it can be easily transformed. Please look at your category scores below, and, you know, discover where your biggest opportunity is. And it may be, you know, if they've scored highly, oh, congratulations, you've done, you know, your score's great. It's really encouraging to see, you know, there's always room for growth. So please look at the advice given below. That's just off the top of my head kind of ideas there. Once you get delivered their overall score, you can deliver their category scores. So if we go here, we've also got that dynamic content as well. So I'm just going to make that one visible here. So under each of those categories, we can enable dynamic content. So we can do the same for each of our categories as well and say, well done, you've done really well for exercise. It's quite nice when you get to the categories to acknowledge their score, describe the category, but then give them some sort of hints and tips that meets them where they're at, that they could sort of it could start to trigger some light bulb moments in their mind, things that they can take away from it, that they can start to sort of implement. You can then obviously include, you know, other sort of content sections as required, but you will want to include your call to action at the end as well. So if you go back to add a section here, you can see the different call to actions that we've got. So you could have, you know, side by side if you've got 2 call to actions. We have lots of our scorecards will link to Calendly, so offering a one-to-one discovery session. It may be that, you know, you're linking to the book if you're giving away a book, or pushing people towards community or an event. So all of those are possible. This is the results page. So if you're on the starter package, this is the output that they receive. The Score App platform can fire off, or will fire off, an email to them with a link back to it, which you can personalize here. If you want that to go from your CRM, you can just slide it off and you can push all that information across into your CRM. If you're on our advanced package, then the results page may become a snapshot, because you also have the ability to create a PDF report, which you can link to in your follow-up email. So the PDF report, you can click on create PDF report here, and then you can add your page by page by page. So you can see there we've got front covers, intro pages, overall scores. You can display the category scores. Then you can drill down into individual categories and provide descriptions and tips to improve their score. We've got call to action, so you can add all your pages, add all your content. Every page can be dynamic as well, so that's a nice feature of the PDF. So they're the elements that you would need to create to prepare your scorecard for launch. You can then also integrate with a CRM system. So we've got that ability on the blue bar. These are our direct integrations here, but you also, if your CRM isn't on there, then Zapier often acts as a bridge between the different CRMs. So that would be the option that I recommend. If you're not using a CRM, then your leads will come directly into your leads area on the blue bar as well. Once you are launched, if you keep an eye on your insights, and this is if you're using a Score App landing page, you're going to be able to see how many visitors have arrived at your landing page, how many have gone on to start to take the scorecard, and that will give you a conversion rate. So we want that conversion rate to be tracking at least above 20%, and we do have scorecards that you are operating way above that as well. So, but that just gives you an indication. And if that figure isn't where you like it to be, then it could be that, you know, the targeting just needs some work, the concept or the messages on the landing page. So I just wanted to make you aware of that as you launch, so you can tweak and keep optimizing that scorecard throughout. As a team, support team here, we're more than happy to review and give you feedback on your scorecards. We do offer one-to-one sessions as well, so please feel free, you know, to reach out to us if you need any help along the way. The final element that obviously once you've built your scorecard is to launch it. So successful scorecards form part of a 3-stage process. So you've got the strategy to drive traffic towards the scorecard. You've got the scorecard that delivers great value to your target audience, and then you've got a follow-up sequence afterwards where you convert those leads into sales. So in terms of the strategy for driving traffic towards the scorecard, I'm just going to head back to my slides here and just talk through some ideas. So we would recommend that you have it on your website. We have examples where you may have a banner on your homepage pushing people towards the quiz. It may be that you have it as your nav bar or as a pop-up. So there are different ideas for having it included on your website. Point 2 is, you know, email signature, but this can apply to basically anything that leaves your office. Your call to action, you know, could be take the scorecard. Your social media profiles and posts, so as well as actually posting about it on social media, just make sure you have the link you know, clearly displayed in all of your sort of profile headers. If you do any podcasts, videos, blogs, you can, you know, drive traffic towards the scorecard as the call to action on those items. If you're running events and workshops, then scorecards, quizzes, they can work really nicely for that. So you can use a scorecard during an event just to see, you know, where the learning gaps may be, and that kind of really helps the person at the event as well, because they're like, oh, you know, I do really need to focus on this particular area. I do need that additional help here as well. You've then got, so a lot of those are organic methods, but you've got the paid for advertising route as well. So it could be Google, it could be YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you know, your ideal sort of place for your target audience. And then the final item on this list is joint venture partnership. So leveraging, if you can create relationships with a relevant party where you can have a leverage potentially their list in exchange for them being able to, you offer them something, then that's also a great idea, along with your own list, of course. So as well as those ideas, we have a fantastic document which is available on our website, and Sarah's going to pop the link in the chat, but it is 29 different ways to launch your quiz. So I've just covered some very top level ones, but this goes into some great detail with some great ideas of how to get your quiz out there once it's ready. So yeah, please check that out. And is there any questions that I can help with that I haven't covered that people would like me to go through? Were there any questions in the chat, Sarah, that I...
Yeah, I'm just responding to Steve. So Steve's just asked if he can do a QR link on any printed material.
Yeah, so if you wanted to do a QR code, the URL will just sit behind that to drive traffic towards it. So yeah, that's possible. Yeah, any other questions? I think we had a MailChimp questions at the beginning, didn't we? Yeah, so yeah. Once you added your, so if you go to your integrations area, and you select MailChimp from the list, if you enter your API, it will then open up some options for you to map across. So you're going to be able to map across the lead form fields, and then the scores, highest, lowest category. You can map across the results links, the report links, push across the category scores. So that does allow you then to tailor your ongoing communication with that lead, so you're speaking to them with the relevant solution. I hope that answered your question on MailChimp, but feel free to jump in if I haven't. Anybody else like to ask any questions before I say goodbye? So hopefully that's a good sign. Hopefully I've covered everything. But guys, please reach out to us if we can help you along the way. We really want your scorecards to be successful. So anything that you need, give us a shout. We've got our live chat. We've got our support desk as well. You'll find all of our contacts at scoreapp.com. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to seeing all your scorecards, hopefully. Take care, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.